And with this, I'd like to introduce my colleague who would continue to moderate the second part of our discussion. That is a brilliant Eastern European economist. He has come from Ukraine. Academician Gates, Vice President of the National Academy of Sciences, and the chief scientist responsible for humanitarian sciences in Ukraine. And he likes this topic of social justice and economic efficiency, how well they are working together, whether they be harmonic or economic efficiency goes as it is and justice goes separately. So as Karakayevich just said, that referring to the works of Kuznets, he installed a dependence that when everybody is equal, nobody wants to work. It's a theory of a common boiler. And now we have this inequality, social inequality, and we have to understand that there should be certain research and quantitative appraisal of what we want to get, and for we have to write a good paper after this forum, so that we are not just leveling everybody, but at the same time we protect the idea of social justice, and it prevents the country from economic growth. For the middle class doesn't have money, if this layer is narrow, it doesn't have money to buy commodities and services. So with this, I give the floor to my friend, my good friend. I don't know whether he's social democrat, but before he was following this philosophy, an excellent Russian economist, director of the Institute of Modern Development. And there I am also the member of the board, although it's not just leftist institutes, but we are pluralists, and we invited Igor Yurgens to tell us what's wrong with our ideas and philosophy. And Ruslan Semenovich, you know that I graduated from the Economic University after you, and for us, the senior comrade is always correct, and we cannot question your ideas. While it looks like I'm speaking after one of the best Oriental people here, and in the beginning, I'd like... I share the views of Oskar Okayevich, but I would like to protect the United States. They emerged from the crisis as the most stable economy. It was -8 and in Russia and +2 in American economy, and almost unemployment has stabilized with those competitive advantages which they have in the new technologies, best educational establishment, growing labor force, and during the last 10 years, the American population grew to the amount of 30 million people. And plus to that, the energy capabilities of the United States make it possible and make everybody jealous, both in Europe and in the rest of the world, for the price for has gone down to 40%, and they are going to be absolutely independent in energy sense, and they are going to export shale gas related with the factors of shale revolution. Let us not feel so pity about the United States, for they been formed as an idealistic countries and they defended their rights, and they invented this kind of models. Sweden developed its own model, and so in my opinion, I think we could not just follow the same way as others do, and to judge us in the same manner as we judge the Americans. And if they, let's say, advertise something, Americans, they are enemies of the nation. So we need to exclude this kind of philosophy from that conversation. Besides, I'm responding to the question, which is the headline of our conference, how economic justice and efficiency developed after crisis. And I'd like to remind all those present that the Pittsburgh meeting took place of 20 large economies of the world, and that was the format of G20, and they were searching the outcome and the way out, and the leaders combined the economies with most different economic and political models, from China to the United States, through Brazil, Spain, and Russia, along with the fact that those were different economic models. In order to solve crisis problems, they created several models, Business 20, Trade Union 20s, and up to the summit, which is going to be held in St. Petersburg, the G20 is working on the factors how to evade this crisis. And the previous crisis, which Mr. Akayev demonstrated, ended up with the Second World War. And I think that there are no prerequisites for any dramatic scenario, and we are slowly leaving this dangerous sphere. And although the European side, I think the worst is behind, and the problem of Cyprus is 10 billion euros. It's just small efforts of Rosneft, and this problem would be resolved. I think it's a trilateral approach, a dialogue between the government, the business community, and trade unions as the speakers for the working class, and that is going to be an alternative to what is happening now, how it's going to be extrapolated on a national level. Now we are just ready to pass over to the Russian reality, and reality is such that the first half of our Congress we heard an absolutely different scenarios, and if we analyze the second part, which I was most interested in, for it was closer to our topic, between the opinions of Mr. Lebedev, an entrepreneur and a businessman who knows what he is talking about when managing large-scale business units, and the opinions of Mr. Glaziev, there is a gigantic gap. It's not just the gap in economic tools, it's two philosophical paradigms which represent free market and state capitalism on the one hand, and on the other hand, social democratic and liberal. So how could we summarize what was happening in the morning? And there's a big mess there, both in the minds, and we can't find any paradigm. Or if you could use the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China and the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, how to live, how to manufacture, how to distribute, how to pacify this economic efficiency, which symbolizes the liberal approach, and social justice, which symbolizes the social democratic approach. And these are the fruits of party competition, free discussion, and free elections primarily. And after that, as the world, which is living in the sphere of the golden pillar, be that French model or Swedish model or French or American model, you are changing the paradigms of your economic development. In the United States, the Republicans are calling Obama a red communist and the traitor of their motherland, and actually who wants to spend more from the budget and distribute among the poor. Apologize. And when Obama, with his paradigms of making everything even, they are going to elect Republican representatives. They reduce the taxes for the rich and the economic vehicle of the United States, making a breakthrough. So Ruslan Simonovich, I don't know whether if he is the social democrat, so call me also a little more democracy and little less socialism. So economic model should be synergized and matching the political model. If we want the efficient economy, we have to have a competitive policy and politics. It's a competition of different ideas, parties in a free society and free community. I have to mention, dear colleagues, that for a long time I've been knowing Mr. Yurgens, and we shared different ideas and approaches to life. But I don't want to actually, these discussions with him are very productive, and I think it's an ideal position and discussion, for in the run of our discussions from time to time we change our convictions. For it's very important because our expert community is separated, and these are some sects with their mantras, which does not allow other people to join. And so some people say, "Oh, this is well, what could we expect from him?" And this makes it more difficult to improve our life in Russia. For the ability to negotiate and to find consensus is striving to zero with people with different concepts, and in a healthy society there will be place for different ideas. They have to listen and to hear others, and sometimes they're changing their own perceptions, and here is the place where the minimum components of consensus emerge and helps to pursue a certain policy. And Grzegorz Kolotka, why you are successful in some reforms, and he said two things, and I was really impressed. First of all, we are all Polish people, and actually it's hard to imagine, but it's much easier to work in such community. And besides, in Poland, liberals, communists, socialists, libertarians, they agree that 2 times 2 is 4. But 2 times 3, then we argue. But in Russia, 2 times 2, people start arguing. Who said that this is 2 times 2 is 4? Yurgens said that this is impossible, and that prevents us from moving forward.